Hello, my name is Saito Cash, and we're here to do some music tech talk stuff. I'm making this video in regard to a friend that's kind of confused about what uh, grouping audio effects racks are in Ableton, and then kind of like what return channels are. So we're gonna be talking about that today, and then kind of showing you like what they do and why they're useful. So let's get into this. So for this example, I'm just gonna get rid of these. I have a standard audio track with just some old dry vocals. All I did was clean it up with a gate, an EQ, and a compressor. Like pretty standard stuff. There's no de-essers or anything like that right now. It's just a tutorial, is what it sounds like.
This is pleasure, it's pain. I said, tell me what you mean. I got liquor and we where you don't smoke. Want me to? You got options right here.
Okay, so that's what that sounds like. It's dry. So my friend wants to make the vocal have reverb, but he also wants to have a dry delay that doesn't have reverb on it. So I said, why not use one of the audio effect racks, right? So how you set that up is you can stick any audio effect on here, or you can actually search it on here. There's a rack in here that just sets it up blank. But you get any audio effect, you right click group, or you can do Command G. Boom. There is another like little bar surrounding the effect, and if you click this button with the three lines in here, boom, audio effect rack, you open up the chain selection area. So what are chains? Well, let's just say like this is a chain. All this stuff together going like one into the other is a chain in itself, right? And then that's going into this audio effect rack and into this chain. On this chain, we're gonna put some reverb, right? And this is gonna be the vocal now. Let me mute myself.
Smoke, want me to? You got options right here for you.
So how are we gonna make put a delay effect on here that is dry, doesn't have reverb on it? Well, you create a second chain, right? And you can throw whatever plugins on here you want too. So we're gonna throw a delay plugin on here. I'm gonna just kind of take out the high so you can kind of tell what's going on, turn down the feedback a little bit, turn down the wetness, just balance it so you can kind of hear the difference.
Smoke, want me to? You got options right here for you. So you can OD on life. You can OD on life. Everything that.
So what exactly is going on here, right? So if I solo each of these chains, this is the chain with reverb on it.
Alright, isn't always good for you.
You can hear it's a vocal chain with reverb. If I solo this one,
Alright, isn't always good for you. This is pleasure.
It's a delay plugin with dry vocals. When I play them together, you're clearly hearing a reverb and a delay going at the same time, but the reverbed vocal is not going into the delay plugin.
Alright, isn't always good for you.
Right? So what group channels, what grouping these audio effects can do when you set up all these different channels is that you can separate the audio effects so that they don't go from the input into the output. They don't go into each other, right? So let's say I didn't use an audio effect at all, right? This audio rack. I'm just gonna grab the reverb and the delay again. And now what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get delays of the reverbed vocal.
Tell me what you mean. I got liquor, and we where you don't smoke.
Right? So to avoid that, and I just want some dry delay, just do a group on the audio effects. And I'm gonna show you what this is doing. So I kind of have this little like diagram set up going. So this is our audio channel. This is our track, right? With our little like audio wave file, so our vocal. And when you make the chains in the audio effect rack, what you're doing is actually duplicating that audio signal into two lanes, right? So chain 1 and chain 2. You can rename the chain if you want, right? So well, these are backwards, but chain 2 has reverb on it, right? So audio signal going into reverb, it's a reverbed audio signal. Chain 1 with delay, you got delay on the audio signal, and they're playing in parallel with each other, right? And then after that, they go to the main fader, so this thing, the main volume, and then that goes to the output that you're hearing on the master track. So that's kind of like the setup for the IO. So what you're gonna have to do, right, is when you set up these chains and you put different effects, you're gonna have to balance out your output for both. Because let's say I made a chain with like the compressor or something, right?
It's a pleasure.
Nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna make a new chain. I want to put whatever effects on here I want, right? There are volume knobs or these faders here where you can turn down the output from that chain.
It's a pleasure. It's pain. I should tell.
And what happens is that if you start stacking all these chains up on top of each other without turning down the volume, you get this really loud vocal.
It's a pleasure. It's pain.
That's clearly louder. And why? It's because you're creating multiple clones of the audio signal, and they're all just stacking on top of each other. Excuse me. Right? Now, what can you do that's kind of cool with these effect racks besides just like kind of separating these effects? Well, Ableton with this effect rack allows you to create your own sort of plugins. Let's say I want to build a multi-band stereoizer plugin, right? So this is something that a lot of people will do sometimes. A lot of higher level producers. I'll grab a multi-band dynamics plugin. So this is 3 compressors, 3 bands, where the bands kind of cross over each other. So it's kind of like a smooth like frequency response or something like that, right? I'm gonna group this multi-band, and I'm gonna make 3 chains, right? Or actually, sorry, I'm gonna duplicate this chain. There we go. So all of them have a multi-band dynamic, and I'm gonna rename top one high, rename this one mid, and I'm gonna rename this one low, right? Leo, whatever, right? And on the high one, I'm only gonna solo the high. On the mid one, I'm only gonna solo the mid, and then the low, obviously the low. So now if I play this, right?
It's a pleasure. It's pain.
It's gonna sound normal, but as I start to mute the other chains,
It's a pleasure. It's pain.
I'm only hearing the high one. As I solo the mid,
It's a pleasure.
you get the mid and then the low, right? And now what you can do
It's a pleasure.
is, because they are separated by the bands, but they have crossover points, so it's kind of like a smooth separation of the bands. I want to stick like some Haas delay effect, so I can kind of widen the vocal, but only on like maybe the high and the mid band. I don't want to affect the low band because I want to keep the low in mono, right? So what I could do here is grab a delay plugin, right? Put these both on time mode, unsync, put one to 1 second, 1 millisecond, and do like maybe like 7 milliseconds. Feedback 0, wet 100%, turn off the filter. Kind of got yourself a Haas delay effect here. We're just gonna solo this. It kind of separates the bands, right? And I'm just gonna duplicate this plugin onto my mid, high, and then low. Oof, did I get that right? Yep. Okay. I'm gonna turn off on the low though. I wanted to keep my lows in mono, right?
It's pain.
And now what I want to do is just kind of affect the time to see like how wide I want each of the bands.
It's a pleasure. It's pain. I should tell me what you mean. I got liquor and
If I want like a wider high end, I'll increase like the time on here, and you'll see like I've just created a multi-band stereoizing plugin, basically kind of like how Isotope has. It's not really like the same thing, but like this is just a really good example of like why and how you could use these audio effect racks, right? And then you can kind of compress them into this like little thing, and then just add other stuff after. Let's say I want to just add another compressor after this and compress them all together.
It's a pleasure. It's pain. I should tell me what you mean.
You can go right ahead and do that. There's no problem with that. Another very cool thing that you can do with the chain sections on the audio effect rack is that you can actually sidechain each chain. So let's say I do have like a just a delay on here, and I want a dry vocal and a delay, right? So have it playing regular, and then have a delay on this side, right? So this will be my dry chain. There's no effects. This will be my delay chain, right? And what you can do is, if I only want to hear the delay after the vocal has said something in the WAV file, then I can compress it so that it keeps the level down, and then when the vocal stops singing, it can bring in the delay. So this will focus your vocal instead of having like your vocal going at the same time as a bunch of delays all in your face. So let's grab a compressor, stick it on the chain with the delay, right? So dry has nothing on it, delay has stuff on it. Let's hear that.
Tell me what you mean. I got
Right? That's total chaos. You're not gonna be able to hear what the guy's saying, right? So what I'm gonna do is open up the compressor sidechain settings, and you can actually select the audio channel or the track that you're on, right? And then go down here and select pre or post effects from dry. If you already have like effects going on the dry channel, like go ahead and do post. If you have pre and you just want the normal audio before any chains that you put on there, go ahead. So let's see, let's put dry, we'll just put dry post effects, right?
Tell me what
And now it's only gonna compress anytime this threshold listens to the dry vocal coming through.
Tell me what you mean. I got liquor and we where you don't smoke. Want me to? You got option here for you, so you can OD on life. You can OD on this simple for you.
So you kind of see how it's a little bit more focused. I mean, I didn't really dial in the settings all too well, and the EQ's on, so it's only listening to the high end.
For you. And I said, tell me what you mean.
But as you can see, though, like anytime that the vocal plays, the vocal delays get turned down, so you can kind of hear what the vocalist is saying. So that's something really cool that you can do with these chains. You can literally side chain in the same track. So yeah, that is sort of my weird, not very structured tutorial on grouping audio effects. Yeah.